Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3, Retrospace. Retrospace is a line of paper miniatures I created in 2010 and started to release in 2011. The concept grew out of a board game I was working on in the late 90s. Space Station Decay was a tile-building game where players attempted to flee a decaying space station. It was a lot of fun to playtest the game, but it was with only one escape pod and dangerous gameplay, my friends soon nicknamed it Many Ways to Die. When I started to make paper miniatures, I realized that pulp science fiction was a difficult genre to get minis for. I sat down and I tried to design sets that would reflect my admiration for the earliest days of science fiction art and literature. Initially, there were 3 factions: Space Patrol, Invaders, and the Imperiacs. To this I added the Metal Legion and the Space Pirates. This was to be followed up with a set of Space Amazons, but these haven't been completed yet. I was always fascinated with the world building in science fiction literature and pop culture like Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. I was aware that there was a history that I hadn't fully experienced, but I was able to understand and see because I was very lucky to have TV Ontario, PBS, and other stations locally that I was able to catch some of these shows on television. Today, with the internet, you can watch pretty much all of these shows online for free. Star Trek fueled my imagination with their take on space travel, aliens, and social issues. Soon afterwards, I discovered the work of Ralph McQuarrie and the movie Star Wars. I really love these early production paintings as they are very imaginative, and I think that they capture an essence of Star Wars that's been kind of lost in the recent years. I was also struck by Franzetta's work for Battlestar Galactica of all things. These things were pop culture elements that dominated my childhood. Albator, which was a French version of Captain Harlock, was on television. Space 1999, Battle of the Planets. This kind of anime work really influenced the drawings that I did. Eventually, Buck Rogers was in the movie theaters and on television, and Flash Gordon soon followed with a live-action film in 1980. The first comics I ever drew were Star Trek comics, and then I realized Star Trek had a copyright, so I started making my own. Science fiction was an extremely influential genre. These are the comics that I like to collect and read. Some of my first paper miniatures were Star Trek miniatures. I made a lot of them. So when it came to make space miniatures, I went back to the source. What was I really interested in? What didn't I see out there? What did I want to make? It was Retrospace. The first set I made was the Cosmic Patrol set. This set of basic space adventurers who could crawl around on an asteroid quite comfortably and get their helmets smashed by aliens. Then, set 2, Imperiacs came. The Imperiacs are what I considered the Roman Legion would be if Ming the Merciless led them. This was followed by set 3, the Invaders. The Invaders were heavily influenced by the Mars Attacks trading cards from the 1960s. Those things terrified me. I toyed with the idea of making a collectible miniatures game based on these sets, but I really couldn't get my act together to get the game system together. That game system that came out of Space Station Decay eventually became the foundation for Katana Schoolgirls vs. Zombie Furries, and of course then Dark Fast Dungeons and Save the Day. Space Patrol was a diverse glimpse at a future Earth as viewed through pop culture nostalgia. It was also an early attempt to provide swappable layers, creating a variety of minis in the set. The Imperiacs are very fun to draw. I see them as a mix of Romulans and Space Elves, guided by an apocalyptic vision of a galaxy-wide tsunami of energy known only as the Great Wave. The Imperiacs launched into the stars in an effort to tap this cosmic energy source and stop the looming tragedy. They were still horrible and cruel, despite their best intentions. The invaders started out as Martians, but I soon realized they were actually invading from another reality that was imploding, spilling over into our own universe in an attempt to escape their horrifying demise. The Space Heroes Squad set was my chance to draw aliens and humans who rocketed from solar system to solar system, fighting the good fight and having all those fantastic adventures. I also really like drawing these octopus aliens. Oh, octopus aliens! Set 5, the Metal Legion, was initially only for building 3D models of big goofy robots. I really love these clunky flesh-hating monsters. but I soon added a 2D version in order to make the sets match up visually. Set 6, Space Pirates, was a love letter to the anime that I loved as a child, such as Battle of the Planets, Star Blazers, and Captain Harlock. I have plans for a boarding ship model and everything. Retro space is an intellectual property I'd love to keep exploring. I love drawing all the different types of aliens, whether they're the little slug guys, or the dogmen, or invaders, or space dwarves, but I also really love drawing just regular people going about their business, as well as the robots. The robots are a lot of fun. I also like drawing the technology. Making it look futuristic, but at the same time retro, is a really fun challenge. Vehicles and spaceships and robots and mecha, these are all also things I'd love to continue exploring in the retro space universe. There are lots of other sets to come in retro space, such as vehicles, of course. One of the most anticipated retro space sets, which hasn't been released yet, are the Space Amazons. I'm still working on what I want them to look like, and I want them to be just right before I release them. There's also the Slug Aliens, which I don't have a name for yet, and the Bug Aliens, who have everything from workers to queen bugs that lay horrifying eggs inside people, and it's gross and disgusting. The diversity of alien life from other planets, all kinds of monsters, it just gives me all kinds of ideas of how I want to expand the universe. One of the best parts about being an artist is creating worlds and exploring them, and that's what I feel like I'm doing with retro space. There's so much more to explore. There's a whole galaxy to explore, so I'm really looking forward to continuing this line in the future. Well, that's it for this time. Thanks so much for your attention, and I hope to hear back from you soon. Don't forget to subscribe, and please let other people know about the podcast as well. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.